How do everybody, and welcome back. Apologies for not bringing a video out last night. Unfortunately, I had a really bad migraine come on. Was in a lot of pain last night, so unfortunately I got worse and worse as the evening went on. So, but anyway, less of me crying, let's just get on with the actual update of what you're all actually here for. So in my last video about this topic, I gave a basic overview on a court case that has been happening where the school, which is the Michaela Community School, which is headed by a Miss Catherine Burblesing, is currently in the High Court due to the banning of praying in school time. It is alleged in court papers that the named student, in regards to this case though, who is the individual that's taking the school to court, was suspended last year though for threatening another pupil with a knife. I haven't been able to find out exactly why this incident happened involving the knife, but it has also been claimed the student also confided, the student as in the plaintiff who's bringing the case to the school, confided in another pupil that she was bringing the case to harm the school. I'm curious to know if the threat involving this knife is linked to this pupil spilling the beans, so to speak. Another point I'd like to get onto as well in this video, I also said I was concerned about certain people, sorry, this is in the last video, using Islam and the courts as a means of exerting influence and a sort of coercive control over our institutions such as the educational system. And I think if it is true, by the way, this case could be an example of that actually happening. Now obviously at this point nothing has been proven either way, so we can't just assume that that is correct, but I do think it is definitely leaning towards being an example of that actually happening. I'd also like to know who's funding this girl to take the school to court and who are her legal team as well. I'm very, very interested to know that, and I wonder if I'd be interested to know what sort of cases the legal team themselves have taken on in the past, and if there is a pattern of behaviour of attempting to undermine the status quo, so to speak, using the judiciary and the legal process to try and do that. It could, I mean, is it a form of Islamism that we are seeing through the courts? And that's without going into the threats of violence and the bomb threats and things like that have been happening at this school. So it's very, very concerning. It seems very, very organised to me. Now, I've also been pondering if this type of behaviour has been spurred on by government, councils and police response, or the lack thereof, to things like the BLM riots that happened during the lockdown period, but also with the terrorist sympathisers as well as the general anti-Semitic actions that have been seen happening during the Palestine protests. There has been open Hamas support seen on the streets of London and in various train station protests, as well as obviously very anti-Semitic action. So I'm wondering if these kinds of actions that we're seeing against schools happening at the moment is being spurred on by that level of inaction. And I believe it was Donald Rumsfeld, who was the US Secretary of Defense at the time of saying this in around between 2002 2006. I believe he said history was proven time and again that weakness is a provocation, or words very, very close to that sentiment anyway. And I do personally believe that statement is true. People who are moving to Western nations from countries that are generally culturally incompatible with Western societies view us and our systems as weak, and are more than happy to try and supplant our systems and our processes with their own, because they simply see our inaction not as being understanding or as tolerant, but they simply see it as just weakness and inaction. I'd also like to quickly remind people as well that we are starting to see a pattern. This is my personal opinion, by the way, but we are starting to see a pattern of behaviour as well. For example, in 2001 there was the Batley School protests, where even to this day there is a teacher from that school he got sacked, but he's still in hiding. Even to this day, nobody knows where he is because the threats to his life are so extreme. In 2019, there was anti-LGBT education protests at Birmingham School that happened there. And with both of these schools, by the way, the people who were turning up weren't necessarily parents of children. They were highly organised, religiously and ethnically organised group. So it's overwhelmingly Pakistani, Bangladeshi, Muslim people turning up, and a lot of them were from out of town or from out of the area as well. But also, as recently as last week, a primary school in Leighton in the London area has received bomb threats and teacher intimidation. And I believe that's around the school, saying that they couldn't have Palestine flags in the school, which again is school policy. And I do believe that these actions, as they are so prevalent, should be considered seditionist as well. In action, in how we interpret these, I do believe it is a form of sedition in nature. But I'm also incredibly concerned that we've gone beyond the event horizon, so to speak, of what's actually happening, and that we won't be able to fix this without having to take really radical reform in how we approach these sorts of problems, up to and including, I believe, deporting without appeal people who are involved in these, if they are obviously of foreign origin. It does seem like sectarianism, from what I'm seeing in the way this is playing out in these schools, and could possibly also be an early warning sign that we are heading towards Vulcanization in our societies, where it may become that it is impossible for groups of people to actually live together, and we could end up seeing fracturing towns. I mean, I think Leicester or Coventry, one of two. Leicester, I'm more certain it's Leicester, is basically the town is split down the middle and neither side crosses one to the other. I think they also had approximately 10,000 slaves estimated in Leicester working in the textile industry there. I believe that was Leicester. I'll have to double check that. If I find an article, I'll put a link below to that as well. But I don't want to leave it all on doom and gloom. There are some positives that we can take from this if we do dig deep enough. And the first one is that this information is obviously getting out and people are starting to see it. And that is the very first step in getting it fixed. And same with the grooming gangs scandal. It is very disheartening that we do see these things. But the fact that our government and the police and councils and etc. are putting so much effort still into trying to keep these topics buried, and even going as far as to trying to deny that there could be religious motivations or cultural motivations behind this. The fact they are putting so much effort into that shows that we haven't completely lost from this, and that it can't be recovered. Maybe not in a way that people would like it to be recovered, but can be recovered if we are willing to do the actions that are required for that. So at least take heart in that they still feel it is worth trying to lie to us, because they feel that if we do become organised enough, we can actually fight back against this type of what really I can only describe it as colonisation, really, when people are trying to force foreign cultures, practices, traditions, etc. onto our society. That to me, it really is colonisation. And as I say, if they are putting so much effort into trying to brainwash it into denying it's happening, then obviously it's not gone too far that it can't be reversed. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. It's coming up almost 10 minutes with this video, and that's giving you a basic overview. I'll try and put links in for everything below. If I do miss any links regarding things I've spoken about, please let me know. If you found this interesting, informative, insightful, whatever, please like, subscribe. It definitely helps the channel. And even if you don't agree with me, please do comment below. I do try to message back to as many people, and I do like reading views different to my own, because I am actually open to changing my mind on things, believe it or not. But anyway, take care for now. Thank you. Bye bye.